Be blessed with wisdom, knowledge, utterances, revelation from Apostle Micheal Orokpo.
A memorial. Now, it's important for us to understand the nature of knowledge, having explained the cadres of knowledge. So, when knowledge comes to you, you can isolate it and you can define it that this one is truly spiritual knowledge. Because every spiritual knowledge has a nature. And so, I give you three nature or essence of spiritual knowledge very quickly as we proceed. The first thing that characterizes spiritual knowledge is that spiritual knowledge, like I said from the beginning, is not informative. It is life or death oriented. When you touch spiritual knowledge, the proof is that a kind of life will emerge. If it is of God. But if it is not of God, a kind of death will begin to emerge. This is why we teach innocent believers. The songs you hear and the things you see, they are capsules of death. The spirits are intelligent. So what they do is that they look for the resonance posture of a generation. There's a generation that loves speed and high energy. So when they are able to discern the frequency at which that generation resonates, they now create different conveyors of depth through knowledge, and they channel it on that frequency. And so every music that is high, there used to be a time where jazz was reigning. Jazz. And so people, they will be playing it. When they hit the crescendo, everybody becomes like a mad person. Now, they will leave that place and go and divorce. They will leave that place and go and kill. They will leave that place and become reckless and run into ghastly accidents. They didn't know that that music was piping recklessness. They didn't know that music was piping death. So the substance of that music is not the sound. The sound is a conveyor. And they have understood through demonic intelligence that that frequency of sound is what moves that generation. So they pump all their power and realities through that economy. And as it touches the generation, touches the people, you will find death littered everywhere. It's an intelligence of spirits. Everything that carries knowledge or intelligence is a conveyor of life or death. So the first nature of knowledge is that knowledge is a conveyor of life and death. In fact, you don't have knowledge because you have information. You have knowledge because you have life. And you have knowledge because you have death. If you have not touched life, or if you have not touched death, you don't have knowledge. In the realm of the spirit, you are an illiterate. You can recite all the principles. When you finish talking, they are finding if you have been able to touch life on this particular corridor. If I'm talking about giving, for example, a spirit is not moved that my exegesis is correct. But they want to find out if I deploy this, my knowledge of giving, what result will it produce? Will God be honored? Will God be glorified? And will it produce a harvest? So they will be watching. So somebody can come and give out of pride. They know he doesn't know giving. It's an illiterate in the corridor of giving, because that is giving does not ascribe honor to God. It ascribes honor to self. That giving produces ego. So that's not the kind of giving. Even though he did it in a church way, it's not God's kind of giving. Because the spirit will be checking the result that giving will produce. If he gives, the spirit wants to find out, let's watch if there will be a harvest. If that guy gives and miraculously something else happens on account of that giving, the spirit knows this man understands this subject. And so what you want to do now will be to attack his faith around that subject, because he knows he's not just talking, he has knowledge. So spiritual knowledge is either life or it is death. And so any dimension of truth that you sustain or ascribe to, if it doesn't produce life, you don't know it. And if it is in darkness, if it doesn't produce death, you don't know it. So the first nature of knowledge is that knowledge is life. and knowledge is death. And so in Genesis 2:17, he said, don't touch this fruit. This tree is called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. The day you touch it, you will not know something, no. You will die. If it is about knowing something only, we can reformat your brain. But if you touch it, if you eat it, you will die. The result of this knowledge is death. The man thought it was a joke. When he eventually ate it, the immortals gathered again and say, now the man has taken from this tree and eaten and has become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He said, therefore, he must be sent out of the garden before he goes to touch the tree of life. That means knowledge is life or death. If the man touched the tree of life, he will be carrying life and death at the same time. And that cannot happen. It's against the law of creation. Life and death can't coexist. Just the way light and darkness cannot coexist. So what the immortals did was to quickly expel him from the presence of God. You have touched it. You don't know something. Now you will die. So the foundation of death is knowledge. The foundation of life is knowledge. So when you are exploring knowledge, your goal should not be what you come back to quote. Your goal should be the quality of life you exude. Because that is the testimony that you have made contact with that knowledge. Number 2, the nature of knowledge, or the essence of knowledge, is that knowledge is the seal of glory and is also the seal of shame. You know, spiritual things is hard to explain. There is a knowledge you will come into now. Suddenly people will look at you. They will start respecting you differently. They won't know why. And there's a knowledge you will come into. People will look at you. And your life will just become a reproach. No matter how you try to package, they'll say, forget it. That one has nothing. Because knowledge is the capsule of glory in the spirit realm. Hope you know when Adam touched that tree, there was never a place in the Bible when they said, this man now has information. If you check scriptures, the way the immortals were judging this matter, it was never about information. The first thing they said was that you will die. The second thing they now said was, for all have sinned and falling short of the glory of God. In Romans 3:23. So the moment that man entered another kind of knowledge, something happened. He became naked. Because what covered him was glory. So knowledge is a covering in the spirit. And that covering is a glory, is a garment of glory. And so when a man begins to go deeper in the knowledge of God, he will not increase in information. It's only a baby that thinks information is powerful. In the realm of the spirit, it's not. The reason information is powerful among men is because men are naturally illiterate. Truth is hid from men. So when you say something, the reason you feel powerful is because others don't know it. If you come to the realm of spirit, that thing you are saying, everybody knows it. So nobody will be moved. But when you come, they want to check how much glory do you carry. They will check your brightness. Your brightness is the sign that you carry something that others don't carry. It's a seal in the spirit. It's a seal. And the moment Adam touched the knowledge he was not supposed to touch, he discovered he was naked. Glory had gone. And he hid himself when God showed up. He was ashamed. He was afraid. Because he touched another knowledge. That means if he kept the knowledge that was given to him, he would have walked in honor as a prince. So if you are looking for glory in this life, you need knowledge. Not information, knowledge. If your knowledge of God begins to increase, on your job, your honor level will increase. Your glory level will increase. You will not, the people will not know what is happening. Meanwhile, they know this in darkness. You are coming for a board of directors meeting. And you stroll with suit and tie. Another person went and slept in the grave. and two of you came into the office. All of you are wearing ash color suit. But the moment that guy talks, everybody keeps quiet. You don't know why everybody is afraid. His words came with weight and suppressed every other person. You'll be so terrified to talk. In fact, some of the wise men in darkness, what they do is, when they are going out for campaign, they will carry some things from some strange quarters. Give them, they will chew it. They will now come. You will mobilize to come and attack them. When they stand up and talk for 5 minutes, everybody will say, it's okay, it's okay. This man is a good man. This man, this man is a good, let's follow this man. He knows it's not what he said, it's what he chewed. And then, the moment he enters office, the scale will fall off everybody's eye. And they are saying, how did we elect this person? You voted for him. You were sweating and shouting and saying, we no go agree, we no go agree. Hope you know this same thing happening in this country. Some of us here, we are guilty. We had some. We had darkness. If you know how many of you fought for this government 8 years ago, some of you quarreled. What do you mean? This is the only change we are looking for. Here we are. Welcome to the real change. People who have knowledge, they were doing business in deeper waters. You carry your medical knowledge. Doctor, you are a doctor. You are dealing with paracetamol. You now stand and say, come on, I'm a learned man. I know what is right from wrong. Who told you know? After 8 years, you now know that you are dwarfed. That's where true knowledge is. Medical science is kindergarten. Some came and said, listen, I'm a barrister. I know the law. I am a man. After they chewed things and spoke, others said, listen, I'm not a small boy. Look at my face. I'm 60 years old. I know what is good when I see it. We mobilized ourselves. Voted. Time. Spiritual illiteracy. You needed to see the Nigerians that were sitting in front of TV collating results. They were collating. Before they announced it, people were already uploading the results everywhere. You needed to see the jubilation. In fact, the only thing Goodluck Jonathan did that made people not to kill him was when he came to concede. The now say he's lucky. Let's forgive him. Now our Messiah has come. Receive your Messiah in a white garment. It's called knowledge. Knowledge. If you don't have it, you don't have it. You can read 10 encyclopedias, you are still an illiterate. Because there they conjure the souls of men. They manipulate the souls of men. It's deeper than information. So life and death is in knowledge. Glory and reproach is also in knowledge. And finally, access and authority level is also in knowledge. There's a knowledge you touch now, you will gain certain access. You see, don't manipulate. Just have knowledge. There's a knowledge you will have now. If you sing here, it will take 6 months for your itinerary to be free. There's a knowledge you will have. You will just share something for 5 minutes. People will be looking for you everywhere. They just want you to come and stand where they are standing. So instead of manipulating and cutting corners, seek the true knowledge that comes from the realms of light. When you touch it, you have authority. The moment Adam touched the knowledge of evil, he was driven from the company of the cherubims. That means what kept him there was the knowledge he was working with. As he touched the forbidden knowledge, it became impossible for him to operate as a prince among other princes in the realm of God. In fact, a cherub stood with a flaming sword turning on either side, contending with the guy. You can't come close, I will kill you. And he ran for his life. Meanwhile, he was also a dominion. He operated in that level of authority before, but when he fell, have you seen a man who is caught in immorality? The wife will now slap him That man that used to stand like this will now say sorry. Sorry. Because he has entered a forbidden quarter. His authority is gone. If he dare say, I'm the head there, they will shoot him. Even him knows that they can't invoke headship there because he has lost it. He went the wrong path. Wrong. So knowledge imparts life. Knowledge imparts glory. And knowledge imparts authority. And so when you want to find a man who has knowledge, don't be moved by who is talking. English is cheap. Find out how much glory he carries. Find out how much authority he carries. And find out the kind of life he emits. There are people who, they speak to you, you are quickened. You just know that this is beyond English. When he spoke, I was invigorated. Because a man who has life, a man who has glory, and a man who has access, when he is emitting knowledge, he is equally emitting that life, that level of access, and that level of authority. That's why you are edified when you interact with him. Because that's what he carries. And if he violates those codes, he will lose that knowledge. And equally, if he loses that knowledge, he will lose that authority. He will lose that glory. And he will lose that honor. See, I wish I have time. I wish it was a healing service. I would have explained a few things to you about sickness and spirit. Sickness was not the plan of spirits. Even though the devil is wicked, what the devil wanted to do to humanity was to bring humanity to reproach. So that man will also suffer the condemnation that he suffers. If it that way, he is dealing with God because God loves man. So as man will fall and man will be brought to judgment, God will be pained. That's what the devil wants to gain. To get God's heart broken. Deuteronomy 32 verse 9 says, the lost portion is his people. So if he makes the man rebel against God and God has to punish the man, God will be pained. It's just like killing your own son. There's nothing that hurts a father like being the one to have to kill his son in order to receive atonement. So the devil knew the protocol. So he wanted to afflict God with so much pain. That's why he made humanity fall. And that's why on the cross, God turned his back. And Jesus cried, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. That was what the devil wanted to achieve. A pain that God can never forget. That he has to kill his son. And then the second thing the devil wants to achieve was to dethrone man, because it looked as if man was the one that took his place. Because he was the dominion in charge of the earth realm. After he fell, the earth was willed to man. In fact, the reason the first earth was destroyed was because the first lord of the earth had been judged. So that civilization can no longer exist, because every dominion rules over his territory. And if you don't destroy that territory will still carry his DNA. That's how it works. Because I'm the one preaching over this place. After 2 years, you'll be shocked that many people here will either begin to dress like me, talk like me, or the same spiritual things that happen to me will start happening to them. It's a natural thing, because the person who superintends over a territory imparts his seal over that territory. And so when the devil was destroyed, the earth had to be judged. If you study Jeremiah 24, I think from verse 3 to 4, you will find that the earth was destroyed because of judgment. You see that? So, two things the devil wanted to achieve was to steal from man his authority and dominion, so that that man will be judged. And also to hurt the heart of God so much, because if he wants to redeem man, himself will die. The pain that God will feel, that's what the devil was looking for. However, things like sicknesses became byproduct, because when the devil was judged, something happened. The glory they carried was their covering. And so these demons were princes at different cadres. The cadre they have are different levels. The glory they carry are different levels, because garment in the spirit is glory. And so when God judged them and glory was withdrawn from them, those of them who were lower in rank, the layer of glory they carried was stripped off them. So they became disembodied. That's why they were called demons. Hope you know when Adam fell, the Bible said he was naked. Glory was his covering. But the reason Adam was not disembodied was because he was a high cherub. He was a dominion. So the glory he carried was much. So even though glory was withdrawn from him, he still maintained his body. But if Adam was a lower messenger, he would have lost his body. Because when God judged the demons, something happened. Those of them who were principalities, who you call fallen angels, they lost their glory, but they kept their bodies. But those who were messengers, because they didn't have so much glory in the first place, when the glory left them, they became disembodied. So what they do is that they are looking for hosts. So what you call sickness is actually a spirit taking host in a man. So the nature of that spirit impacts that man. And they, based on their glory and their rank, that's also what defines the kind of body they occupy. If you are not of a higher glory, you can't occupy a man. That's why some spirits occupy animals. They don't have enough glory to control man. Man is a superior machine. So they can't rule man. So the spirits who don't have enough glory to possess man, they possess animals. And then those who don't have enough glory before they fell to possess animals, they possess little creatures. All the little creatures that are seemingly unseen, like viruses, like germs. That's what they possess, like flies. So what they possess is dependent on the level of glory they had before they fell. So those who didn't have so much glory, they occupy miniature creatures, like flies, like germs. And because they occupy them, when they make contact with you, their nature is transferred. So the doctor calls it a virus. Because that's where his knowledge reached. Those who have understanding in life knows that it is the nature of a demon imparted through the agency of an innocent creature that is in bondage. That's why I said creation is in bondage. A bondage called the bondage of corruption. So if a mosquito, a virus touches you, it cannot but transfer the nature of that demon. And then the demons who are able to possess men, when they enter them, they oppress them at a higher level. You call it schizophrenia. The truth is that they don't know what it means. At least medical science has come to agree now. And so they have what they call idiopathic medicine. They don't know the answer to those things. So they are unknown. But we can go through the scriptures to tell you the unknown. The unknown is demon walking behind the scene, possessing creature to destroy creature. So sickness arises rather because spirits have no bodies. So they are looking for hosts. And when they look for hosts, the moment they find hosts, they live out their character. Part of their character is what you call sickness. So if a spirit possesses a miniature being, like a fly, a virus, a mosquito, when it touches you, it will transfer the nature of that spirit. That transference of reality is what you call a sickness. And then when it possesses a man, it can destroy that man, like the madman of Gadara. That is a technology. But the reason all of that happened is because they lost their glory. They entered a kind of knowledge called rebellion. And that rebellion stripped them of glory. So some of them became disembodied. Some of them became naked. They have bodies, but they are naked. So they are looking for honor back. That's why they are seeking territories. So you have principalities and powers looking for territory so that by all means they will get honor now that they possess a territory. And those who are disembodied are looking for men, animals, or miniature beings to find a host in. And because of their rebellious nature, the moment they find the host, they begin to create destruction. And part of that destruction is called sickness. That's why when you cast out demons, people are healed. Are we together? But I said that to let you know that the excellency of knowledge is the fact that knowledge brings life. Knowledge brings authority. And knowledge brings glory. The moment you receive Christ, the Bible called it a knowledge. It said, this is life eternal, that you may know him. That knowledge is what restores you back to glory. That knowledge is what restored you back to authority. And that knowledge is what created access for you in dealing with God. So if God is telling us that He is going to bring us knowledge in this season, what it means is that God wants to increase the glory that we carry. God is not trying to increase our bank of information. He's actually trying to increase the glory. Because as you enter transfiguration, you will discover that glory is excelling. It's called from glory to glory. It's called from grace to grace. It doesn't have a limit. So when God is bringing you into knowledge, He's actually carrying you from one level of glory to another. And there's a level of glory you enter that you don't need to beg. There's a level of glory you enter that you don't need to struggle. That glory in itself becomes a defense. Now, when Adam was in Eden, Adam lacked nothing because of the glory he carried. The animals submitted to him. Nature submitted to him. Because glory bequeaths you authority over nature and the systems of this world. There's a level of authority you have that you don't need to struggle like others. And so if God is bringing us into deeper knowledge, it means He's bringing us into higher realms of glory. He's bringing us into higher realms of authority, and He's also bringing us into higher realms of access. Oh, if your authority level changes, you will know by the things that happen around you. There's an authority level you get to. They will quickly advise every demon not to come close. This is a danger zone. Immediately, they will just know that if they come here, the casualty in the demonic realm will be much. So instead of wasting demonic arsenals here, go somewhere else. That's why you find some people telling you, they are not lying. They tell you, the devil doesn't exist. They are talking from the authority level. That's not doctrine. That is realm. If he's teaching in Bible school or teaching new converts, he can teach them demonology. But when he enters the realm where princes sit far above principalities and powers, if he said the devil doesn't exist, it's correct. Because where he is far above principalities and powers. But it will take some kind of knowledge to come there. There's a level of glory some people are, and they tell you, they don't know the exchange rate. As far as they are concerned, they will always have more than enough. You will look at them and say, what do you mean? Are you not in this country? They are not. You are the one in the country. They are not. They are living from heaven's resource. Because of glory, they are translated. You know, the problem believers have is that they think we are all the same. We are not the same. I was teaching them in the church on Sunday. I told them, some men are so relevant that after they live their lifetime, God tells them, come back to earth. Earth needs you. Elijah lived 4 times. Elijah finished his lifetime. Instead of dying, because he said it's appointed unto man to die once, God said, no, you can't die. If you die, the earth is in trouble. God carried Elijah to heaven, kept him. And then when Jesus was about to come, nobody had the stature of Elijah. It will take that kind of stature to open the spirit realm for Jesus to come. The spirit of Elijah had to come into John. And John began to cry in the wilderness, make a straight path for the Lord. Because it's Elijah's spirit that constructs a highway from heaven to earth. And Jesus will come. And then as if that is not enough, when Jesus was about to go to the cross, they will still need the services of Elijah. And Elijah will still come to the Mount of Transfiguration. And the Bible said they were telling Jesus what he will do in Jerusalem. As if that is not enough. He said 2 witnesses are coming. Elijah is still one of them. You see relevance. While somebody is praying to God to have a long lifespan, another person is tired of living. God says you can't go nowhere. When Moses died, after all, he actually didn't die. Because what he knew made it impossible for him to die naturally. God killed him. And when God killed Moses, he killed him in hiding. Because if you kill him publicly, you will expose some secrets to princes. When Moses was killed, the Bible said instantly the devil came to collect his body. Perhaps if we take this body to the museum in heaven, in Hades, there are some things we will discover here, because this man is a spiritual island. And quickly God mobilized Micheal to go and fight for the dead body of a man. That means some people's dead body is more important than some people's living body. Why we are alive here, telling God, Lord, please help me. Somebody is dead. He is not praying. And it's not any angel that was mobilized. An archangel in the order of Micheal came to fight. Where did they take this body to? The date, nobody knows. But when Jesus was about to go to the cross, they needed elders. And they went and awakened Moses. And Moses stood on the Mount of Transfiguration. And Moses was educating Jesus. Because this particular Jesus is a man. He needs the Holy Ghost to teach him. And one of the ways the Holy Ghost taught him was through Moses and Elijah. Because the Bible said they told him what he should do in Jerusalem. Men who became immortals because of the kind of knowledge they had. They had authority with God. Did you not read? God was speaking in Jeremiah chapter 15 verse 1. He said, even if you call Moses and Samuel to pray, I won't answer. That means in the technology of priesthood, don't let Moses and Samuel pray. If they pray, God must answer. So God was giving a disclaimer. Even if you invoke Moses and Samuel on this matter, I will not answer. It's the level of authority they wield with God. But all of that is a product of knowledge. What it therefore means is that the quality of life you will